Oh, hello, didn't see you there. I was just looking at this little pamphlet for the Beatles DeAgostini collection. We're up to Beatles for sale. It's like the Beatles lost album, isn't it? Or forgotten album. I'll just go through the track listing in case you don't know it. So it's No Reply, I'm a Loser, Babies in Black, Rock and Roll Music, I'll Follow the Sun, Mr. Moonlight, and Kansas City, Hey Hey Hey. Side 2 is 8 Days a Week, Words of Love, Honey Don't, Every Little Thing, I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, What You're Doing, and Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. So this was the fourth album released by the Beatles in the UK in the end of 1964. In the DeAgostini, although this was number 8 that came out, they didn't follow the original release, if that makes sense. So it says on it, it says, following the following the self-composed hits on a hard day's night, the Beatles' fourth album sounds like a record with a dual personality, which it does to a certain extent, doesn't it? While the groups looked for new musical and lyrical ideas throughout 1964 is apparent in the original songs, the choice of cover versions reveals a warmth acknowledgement to their musical roots. And it does. As always, the Beatles were looking ahead, but they had not forgotten their first love and rock and roll. And I think that comes through on this album. Yes, they could have probably done a whole album of self-composed songs, if they'd got them written in time, of course. So you get a photo there. These pamphlets are all right, but there's not really a lot in them. Probably a little bit more than the HMV CD box sets. A little bit of information. Now, this caught my eye. In fact, this is what I was looking at when I just started this video. And this is from Derek Taylor, who was the Beatles' press officer throughout the 60s. And he said, according to this, right, it says, the magic of the Beatles is, I suspect, timeless and ageless. It has broken all frontiers and barriers. It has cut through differences of race, age, and class. It is adored by the whole world. Derek Taylor. And to a certain extent, I'd say that was true in 1964, and it is true today. If you like the Beatles, you love the Beatles. You know what I mean? You know, and Beatles fans will 9 times out of 10 will stick up for one another as well. So what does the album look like? Now, if you remember, when I got this DiAgostini box sets, I will say sets because there's 2 sets. The majority of the records were sealed. I've had to unseal this one to play it, but I've still kept the shrink wrap on, so I can't show you the inside of the gatefold. Well, I could, but you all know what it looks like anyway, don't you? So, yes, I've had to unseal it. I've played it. I played it twice. I've played it twice, and it sounded pretty damn good, to be honest. It really did sound brilliant. I've always loved this album. Don't know why, but it's always been one of those that if you never like having a crappy day, I will come and put this on, and it somehow makes it seem not so crappy a day, if that makes sense. The other one that I do that with as well is the White Album, but I think that's more because there's that much variety in the White Album. That's a completely different thing. And yes, I played this. I was very, very surprised. Obviously, it was a brand new record, although it was from 2017. It was sealed, so technically it's a brand new record, isn't it? I've played it. It sounds absolutely fantastic, honestly. Now, why I'm doing these videos, I'm using the same deck and everything. And so if you don't know, I'm using my Denon direct drive turntable, and that is going through a Denon amp and then through Denon speakers. So that'll be the DeAgostini albums and then whatever one I'm going to compare it to. This is 180 gram vinyl. And, of course, it's nice and shiny because it's brand new. Labels look very, very similar to the 1960s labels. It was as flat as a pancake, no skips and jumps when I played it. The only difference with these is you get like an international number there. And instead of saying made in Great Britain, it will say made in the EU there. And you obviously get Sony ATV music instead of Northern songs for the Beatles or the Lennon-McCartney songs. But all in all, I think these are really, really nice sounding LPs or albums, whatever you want to call them. As I've said before, many, many times now, these are from a digital source or a digital file. So they're not analog, not like the original analog masters. They're from a digital source. Now, to me, that doesn't make any difference whatsoever. You know, so far, every one of these I've listened to, I've been very, very happy with how they sound. You know, if you're a purist and you don't want to buy them, don't buy them. Simple. Uh, if you're not a purist and you want some cheap playing Beatles albums for everyday playing, these are for you. Plus, it depends what your equipment is as well. I mean, mine is fairly basic setup, but you know, when these decks and amps and everything were new, excuse me, they were actually, you know, quite high end items. They're not now. If you've got like a little one of those suitcase like record players, these are going to sound different again. And if you spent thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on a hi-fi setup, again, you probably going to hear these different to how I'm hearing them. Excuse me. Sorry, I had a bacon cob before I came up to do this. So yeah, lovely album, very very underrated. Now I thought, what am I going to compare this to? I'm going to put that down there because the sun's coming in now. So I decided to compare it with a very early 1970s UK pressing. And I say very early, I'd say this is probably a pre 1973 pressing. So that is before 1973 or 1973 at the very, very latest. The LP is a heavyweight vinyl, so it's the same sort of like weight as an original 1960s LP. So that is the gatefold. If you want to know what the gatefold looks like, which I'm sure you all know, that's what it looks like. So this is the nearest thing to 1960s pressing, if that makes sense. Um, it's the same. This is the same mix and everything as was on the 1964 original UK album. It's on a 2-box EMI silver and black parlophone label, or yeah, but it still says the Gramophone Co. there, where later copies will say EMI Records, and then it says Made in Great Britain right at the bottom under that EMI box, where later copies will say Made in the UK or something on the outer rim there. So, like I say, this is still a vintage record. Uh, I played the DiAgostini one twice, and I've played this twice, and yeah, they do sound slightly different, but I can't put my finger on what it is. Yes, definitely because the DiAgostini one is a digital file, yeah, so it's going to sound slightly different anyway. But there's not a lot in it. There really is not a lot in it. I mean, this is a really, really nice copy anyway. This is virtually mint. I do have an original 1964 one as well, but you know that is quite rare now. So I thought this is the next best thing to listen to. So yeah, there is slight differences. There seems to be a little bit more echo on the DeAgostini one. Well, that's what I could hear anyway with my aging ears and through my aging equipment. Um, but there's not a lot of difference. There really is not a lot of difference. The only difference is this one. There was 1 second, folks. This one, if you see it in a shop in this sort of condition, second-hand, early 1970s pressing, will probably cost you best part of 50 quid. An original yellow and black parlophone one, you're talking a lot more than that. But this and the yellow and black parlophone will sound exactly the same. There'll be no differences whatsoever in that. So yeah, so if you can afford it, yeah, by all means go out and get that. That is from an analog master. So that is how it was cut on the original cutting lathes and everything. That is how this sounds. It is actually quite a nice sounding record or pressing. Now this one is from a digital file. So it depends how you are. If you want something that you're only going to play now and again, but you want something pretty authentic, go for that one. Or if you can find an original yellow and black copy, go for that. If you just want to listen to a Beatles record whenever you want to, and you're not really that bothered, this is for you. That might sound a bit blunt, but I mean, if you're just getting into the Beatles and you don't want to be paying 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 or hundreds of pounds in some ways for albums, these are quite cheap. I mean, I bought the whole set of these and it was really, really cheap. I mean, really, really cheap. Yeah, it's what you want out of listening to record. It's hard to describe it without playing it, but if I play it, I'll get a copyright strike, and I don't want that to happen. Um, so yeah, if you ever see these DeAgostini ones, don't be put off. You can probably find these between probably the single albums between 15 and £25, and that will probably be for sealed copy as well. Um, Going to your HMV or your Walmart or something like that, and these are probably 30, £35, aren't they, at the minute? So, you're paying probably half the price as what you would to go into a shop and buy a brand new one. Yeah. So that makes these a bargain in my eyes. The other thing is these are everyday copies. Does it matter to me whether these are from a digital file or analog master? No, not in the least. And why doesn't it? Because I've got all the original albums behind me. So they are all analog masters. That is still an analog master. And like I say, I can't really tell a lot of difference. Yeah, there's a bit more bass on this, and the vocals are a little bit more clear. But I would say on that one, vocals have got a little bit more echo on them, if that makes sense. Still both fantastic records to listen to, honestly. The other difference is the sleeves. Look how light that one is to that. But then on the back, it's opposite way round. On the DeAgostini one, the back looks darker than that one, I think. And then if you go like mid 70s into the 80s, even the 90s, this on some of them will look like it's a cutout, like it's a cartoon, like somebody's drawn it. I mean, that is still a photo, into that is a proper photo. That is still a proper photo. But then on some of them, it's like there's a black thing round the hair and everything. It's ever so weird. It's hard to describe. So, which one's for you? Which one of these is for you? The answer is any of them. If you want an honest opinion, any of them. Um, they both sound absolutely fantastic. Like I say, on my equipment and with my aging ears, I can hear little differences, but I can't exactly sort of like pinpoint them, if that makes sense. you know. And at the end of the day, if you just want something to play, why not get the DiAgostini one, or even that one if you can afford it. You know, it's down to your budget and things like that, isn't it? You know, but you know, I suppose I'm lucky because I've got lots and lots of different copies of each Beatles album. The only thing I'm trying to do is in these videos is show people that these DiAgostini ones are not inferior to anything else in my Beatles collection. Yes, they're from a digital file. Now, to me, that doesn't make any difference whatsoever. As long as they sound okay, they don't jump, they don't skip. What else is there to want? Yeah, I've got all the original versions, you know, so it's a win-win for me. That's going to be it. Whatever you're doing, please stay safe. Remember, you are the Beetle Dave, and Beetle Dave loves you. Yeah, so if you ever see any of these DiAgostini pressings out in the wild, don't be scared to get them. You might be surprised. People could ask me, well, how do they sound? Without playing them, I've got to sort of like explain it the best I can. If I play them, I'll get copyright strike, and I know it's the Beatles. Uh, so yeah, I'm just trying to do my best. Just a little bit of fun and a little bit of entertainment, folks. You know, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, and you've managed to get all the way to 15 minutes or 16 minutes or whatever it is now, and you've liked the video, just leave me a thumbs up. If you've got any of these DiAgostini pressings, leave it, if you want to leave me a comment telling me what you think they sound like, if you think they are worth the money you paid for them, if you've ever bothered to compare them to an original pressing or a vintage pressing like I have today. You know, it's all relative, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's all relative. That's the way I'd say it. All right, so I'm going to love you and leave you. So, like I say, hope you're all well and dandy, and I am going to see you very, very soon. Maybe or maybe not. Depends when this video comes out. So until the next time, it's peace, love, and happiness to you all. Love one another, and bye bye. Cheers, everybody. Bye.